Hello everyone, Thomas Lancaster here. I thought I'd just share with you a little technique that I've discovered if you want to generate interesting looking PowerPoint presentations using existing data. For the purpose of this example, I'm speaking in July 2023, so I'm showing what's capable using ChatGPT and the plugins available now, including Code Interpreter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a discussion on Reddit. I'm going to get ChatGPT to create a summary of that discussion. I'm then going to get ChatGPT, I hope, to turn this into PowerPoint slides, which I can download. They're going to be quite simple PowerPoint slides, but we can spruce them up by also getting ChatGPT or a ChatGPT plugin to uh, create some new images to add to the slides. Then it's just a matter of loading them up into PowerPoint and let PowerPoint handle the design for us. And we get something quite exciting and original. I've chosen Reddit because you get some quite interesting, heated discussions and different opinions, and they're quite good things to reflect on a set of slides. But there are many other options about the type of source you could use. So let me bring Reddit up. There we go, open in the background. I'll just expand that. This is the Reddit professors, where professors or academics, mostly ones in the US, go and moan about things. I just prefer the old layout, so I've got that one open. I haven't looked particularly at what we want to talk about. Maybe Chat GPT, dealing with a difficult PhD student. I'm looking for something with a reasonable number of comments, because then there'll be some discussion there. Um, let's look at this tips for a new adjunct professor. Let's see what kind of things we've got in there. Oh, lots of tips. So that looks like it could be quite useful. So I'll just grab that link. Let's go then across to our Chat GPT window. I've got GPT-4 here. I'm going to need to enable some plugins. I don't know what I've got enabled at the moment. You can see what kind of things that I found useful. I think need to be Scraper to capture that. It's probably the only one I'm going to need at the moment. So let's write something like, here is a link to a Reddit discussion. Read the information from the link using Scraper. We'll just make it as obvious as possible what we want, but sometimes this may take multiple requests. Summarize the discussion in the form of titles and bullet points so that these could be turned into a presentation. Where possible, collect some exact quotes from the discussion, complete with the username of the poster. There. Number the slides, including a title slide and a summary slide. Let's just try that. There's not an exact science to these quotes. As you can see, it is loaded up Scraper to go and collect that information. I think we can probably expand that to see, yeah, it's given the information. It seems to have managed to download much of this text here, which is great. Let's hide that again, and so we're coming through the number of things. So we're getting, and I never read this thread, so I don't know exactly what was said. There we look at a title slide. We've got an introduction, teaching strategies slide, encouragement and practical advice slide with some quotes being added. There's a student engagement slide, a dealing with administration slide, a course preparation slides. We're getting a good amount of material here. Now, of course, I've chosen something where adjuncts don't necessarily exist under quite that name in the UK. I should have zoomed in a bit but these are the kind of things that we've got. And it looks quite interesting. And of course, you could then take these things and form them into your own discussion, your own video. And I've managed to include acknowledgement here because this is clearly quite important in an academic sense. But people will use this kind of technique and not give that acknowledgement. Now we're going to need a further chat. So let me just do that and bring up another GPT-4 chat here. In this case, I want to switch over to the code interpreter. And here we're going to say, so this is where we're going to turn this into the PowerPoint presentation. And, so I'm going to post a summary of a Reddit discussion from our professors. This gives the content for PowerPoint slides, complete with bullet points. Using code interpreter and the PPTX library, turn the content into a series of slides and produce a downloadable PPT file, something like that there. So let me just paste this in. The only one I don't like, perhaps this should be bullet points, but let's just go with that for now. Now sometimes it throws up an error and says I don't know what the PPTX library is, which is a Python library for generating PowerPoint slides. I put that in because if you don't, then it can go in circles a bit trying to work out what library to use. But if it does, you just have to remind the system that actually it does have the power to do this. And I presume it's doing something because it's whirring away in the background. It looks like it's producing some code from PPTX in Point Presentations. This is the Python code here. We could copy it and run it, but with this code interpreter plugin, it should be able to run this straight away. And you may just be able to make out that it's adding the content to the presentations there, or it's producing the code to add this to the presentation. So we're getting a decent number of slides here being produced. Including acknowledgement, it's got the summary slide. It's going to save it locally here, and it saved it. I've created this per your instructions. You can now download this using this link. So let's do exactly that. There we go. Tips for new adjunct. Let's have a look what we got. So this looks like a set of slides here. The introduction, teaching strategies, encouragement. It's not managed to quite fit them exactly onto the slides because these ones have actually ended up quite wordy. But let's not worry too much about that for the time being. We're going to come back. We're now going to try and improve this. So we're going to go back to what was the third stage of this process. So we're going to need another chat. I think I've still got this information copied, but let's be on the safe side. And it's going to be GPT-4. Now we're going to go back to the plugins for the next stage of this, and we're going to use this one, mixer box image generation. So what this does is it creates images using DALL-E 2, which is the OpenAI's platform for image generation. But I think this is going through a third-party service. So again, we need to give this some instructions, but we also need to give it instructions to help this to generate good images, and then we can load in one image per slide. There may be a way to do this all in one, but you can't run code interpreter and image generation at the same time, so it makes it quite difficult. I'm going to supply the content for a series of slides. I would like you to use ImageGen, hopefully it is called ImageGen, to generate a series of interesting images, one per slide. The images should contain easily recognizable objects or concepts that match the content on the slide. I put that in incidentally because otherwise it can do some very abstract images. The images should be consistent in style. They should not contain any text. They should not contain diagrams. They should not contain speech bubbles. These are all in because otherwise this will try and generate these things. They don't look very good. Scientific diagrams there or text, which doesn't make sense. And because it's doing quotes, it often decides to add the speech bubbles. So I'll just look back across and see what kind of things that we could have. So example images might include journals, because I see that mentioned. It's just on my other screen here. What else? Classrooms, students. These things are mentioned quite a lot there. Security guards, that's mentioned somewhere, etc. And be sure to choose a title slide image that choose images for the title slide and summary slides that represent the discussion as a whole. Well, there is one more thing to add. Right. Provide a link to access each image. Do not print any additional unnecessary text or advertising materials. I mean, that's the kind of thing that'd be quite unpopular if you're supplying this plugin, but I'm afraid I find an advert after each image quite annoying. So let's paste this in and let's get this going and we'll see what we get. We may not get perfect images. Sometimes I have to say generate another set of image, but you'll see straight away it's using Mixerbox ImageGen. It will be creating a prompt for each image, hopefully vaguely following my instructions. Let's see what kind of prompt it gave for that one. Vibrant illustration, abstract representation of teaching and learning with colourful patterns and shapes, conveying the exchange of knowledge and growth. There, and you see it would have said all this stuff about Mixerbox, but now it's hidden that because I asked it not to. Now I'm not sure about abstract image, but let's just open that and see what we get. I mean, that wasn't quite what I had in mind, but never mind. Let's see what the next one is. The transition of a seasoned professional to teaching. There. Well, I mean, to me, that's normally what you look like after you've been teaching for a few years, not when you first started to teach. But let's assume this one is good enough. So what we would do, and I'll leave it generating the rest in the background, is I would copy that. I would go over to here, where, and I will paste this in. I will then open Slide Designer, which opens automatically, and just choose one of these so it looks like a much more interesting slide for that. So now we can go to the next one. This is Teaching Strategies, a Journal in a Student Learning. That sounds quite good, a little bit abstract, but I quite like that image. So let's go back here, let's paste this in, and what do we like in terms of the designs? Sometimes the ones over the top are good. Sometimes just off towards the side looks quite good, like that one. Let's try that one. There, let's close this. We still need a new one for the first one. Well, we could go with the abstract image if we want, depending how patient we are. Encouragement and practical advice, that's a bit too abstract. Yeah, abstract representation, I think we will skip that one for now. Student engagement, representing an active learning environment. I mean, that's okay. I'm not really sure what an active learning environment looks like, so we can put in this very busy environment. Let's do that. That looks quite nice. There. Dealing with administration, representing the concept of dealing with administration. Yeah, okay, I don't mind that one. What about something like that? Course preparation and pacing. Um, well, we could have other things, but I mean, I think actually I don't mind that slightly abstract one in that case because this is a pretty abstract type topic anyway. Let's just have a little bit of colour there in the background. There. What else we've got? Practical tips. Yeah, you see this one. This one would be all right, but it's put text in, which is exactly what I asked it to avoid. Now, and teaching is probably slightly more school-like, but what we can do there, if we like, is we could actually just go and crop the image down towards the bottom so we lose the text. We'll just have to, I think, start designer again. There, no, okay, hasn't quite managed to, or some of them it manages to lose the rest of it, like that one there. What we can actually do is picture format and compress pictures, delete the cropped area, right? And now when we do designer, it should only deal with this part. Oh no, it didn't actually work. It's still trying its best to add the rest of it in. Well, um, can't do everything automatically. Annoying. There, it was going very well to that point. Somebody's probably shouting at the screen. There is a very quick way to get this to give you exactly what you wanted. Let me just delete that. Let me paste it back in there. No, that didn't quite work either for that one. Let me just try it one more time. Compress the pictures. Delete the cropped area. No, it's fine. All right, we're going to come back to that one in a minute. Let's go back to the summary slide representing the wealth of advice there. I'm going to. I actually quite like that one, so I'm going to put that in. Wealth is not quite what we had in mind, but let's let's just use this one now. This pencil problem, I do have another solution for this one here, which essentially is for me to just use a snipping tool. We'll just use snip and capture just that section of the screen here, and we'll go back to PowerPoint, and we'll paste that in, and then it will find something like that, which looks quite acceptable. Now there are some we didn't like. Encouragement and practical advice. Of course, we could use the built-in images if we want, but I think it's so much nicer to generate our own. So thank you. I I prefer new images for two of the slides. The title slide and the encouragement slide. I think more creatively about the content, but make sure this is a real object that is created. Make three varied images for each slide, so I have a choice. Right, let's start that going. Hopefully that made sense there. So it's going away in the background. Let's see out of interest what it is looking at here. A prompt: a digital illustration showing the concept of teaching insights with vibrant colors and abstract shapes. A detailed painting capturing the essence of teaching insights with a teacher with a diverse group of students. A thought-provoking photograph depicting teaching insights there. In fact, that's possibly the second one, not the first. It's actually generated these quite easily this time. So let's see what we've got. Let's look at the first three. I'll open them all separately. You can't vote because it's a recording, but do you like any of these? I mean, that one's alright. I'd use that one. That one I actually quite like because I quite like abstract. That one has got text. That's completely useless. Let's go with this one. Let's paste that in. And with this being a title slide, we can be a bit more creative about our choice, and we can have something with the title in the background if we wanted. Although it often has these strange animations or something like that. I quite like that one. So let's. Color scheme is not quite perfect though, but that's fine. That's the one I'd normally save for future use because I quite like it while it's here. Right, let's look at the other three. So this is going to be for the encouragement of practical advice. I mean, this is a typical classroom. I do quite like it, but that one a bit too spiritual for me. There, that one. I mean, you could certainly put that one in. I mean, I guess that one, but I'm afraid I'm going to put the bizarre one in because sometimes having a bit of a bizarre picture attracts people's attention for that. That one where it's in the background or perhaps inside a circle. It's got that quite nice abstract feel to it. And I've actually got a little bit of consistency in design. Now, I mean, these things aren't completely perfect because there are what would I do? I mean, I might go through and just change the text size a bit. I might put the quotes into speech bubbles or quote bubbles or something like that as well. And I think I would change this. I mean, obviously it shouldn't say slide, it should just say summary there. And I would probably go back and cover some key tips. But there you have a set of slides. What people do with things like that is they may, for example, post it on certain sites for traffic, like SlideShare or something. They may turn that into a video, pretty much stealing off other people's ideas, or whatever they like. So let's look here at the slides. Perhaps we should have made them widescreen. I forgot to ask for that. But otherwise, we have a presentation we could choose to talk through. Now, with my academic integrity hat on, of course, these kind of techniques could be very easily misused, but there's no reason for having terrible and ugly looking presentations when you can so easily create them and edit them from existing data and change things around like that. And of course, I could just go and change the slide size somewhere in PowerPoint itself if I chose to. I'd probably add a call to action slide at the end. But there you have something I hope you found at least slightly interesting. So what have we done here? We've chosen a discussion on Reddit. You don't have to use Reddit. You could use other sites. You could even paste text in, summarize your own academic papers, your own blog posts, whatever it might be. There, we've turned these into bullet points for slides. We've then converted this into a basic PowerPoint presentation. It wasn't particularly exciting looking, but then we've created images. We've just used the slide designer, created images with ChatGPT, used the slide designer to make the presentation look a lot more interesting. And yes, it has taken me nearly 30 minutes to demonstrate all that to you, but you could do that faster. You could automate a lot of this as well. You could you could just ask for a whole variety of images to reflect the talk as a whole, and then copy and paste the ones you like wherever you want, rather than getting a specific image per slide. You're just really jazzing up your presentations. So I hope that's given you some ideas. No doubt all of this will appear automatically in PowerPoint at some point, so you won't even have to go to this amount of trouble. But there are some quite powerful things if you think a bit outside the box with ChatGPT, with the plugins and with all the functionality that is available to you. So thank you for watching. I'm Thomas Lancaster, and do check out my website, thomaslancaster.co.uk, and my blog, which is part of that site.